A typical Khayal presentation of a raga is 2 or 3 tiered. That is, a Khayal presentation typically uses 2 or 3 compositions in different layas, in different tempos. The Khayal presentation of a raga will start with a Vilambit Khayal, and then it will proceed to a Drut laya composition. That is, it will start with a slow Khayal, and then it will it will also include a rendition of a Drut or a fast tempo composition, and there will be Vistar around both. The Thala may be the same, and very often it is the same. So, a rendition of a raga might first begin with a composition in Vilambit Tintal, and after that it will be followed by a composition in Drut Tintal. So, different compositions in different layers offer different possibilities for Vistar or improvisation, and the ramping up of the laya is conducive to creating and building up of interest and tension. So, as I said, typically a Khayal rendition will include 2 compositions, but sometimes it may also include 3. So, it may be followed by the Vilambit, may be followed by a Madhya Laya Bandish, and then a Drut composition, which may even be a Tarana. A leisurely presentation of a raga in Khayal can take a minimum of 45 minutes. It can go on up to an hour and more. So, what happens? How does a Khayal presentation unfold? A Khayal presentation begins with a short, very leisurely introductory alap without tal. That is, it's anibadha. This alap should establish the raga clearly, unambiguously, and evocatively. And then the Vilambit composition is rendered. Usually the sthai is rendered first, once or twice, and then the singer will embark upon the vistar with whatever he or she prefers, alap, bolai, etc. Tans usually do not enter right in the beginning. Tans are rendered towards the end of the vistar. And there is a step-by-step development or badhat, that is, or vistar, beginning in the lower ranges and progressing towards the tarasa. The tar shadja, that is the higher sa, and singing it or attaining that is a landmark, a point of great drama. And once that happens, then the antras mukhada is sung. Typically, the full antara is not sung at that time. The antaras mukhada alone is sung, and then more badhat, more vistar in the higher ranges is performed, after which the antara is rendered fully, and then you return to the sthai. And in many schools, at this point, the laya is increased, after which we have bol laya, bol bant, bol tan, and also tans. So, then the Vilambit Khayal is rounded off, and after which a Drut Bandish is rendered, typically with at this stage you won't embark upon leisurely alap, more bol bant and tan kind of vistar will be performed around a Drut Bandish. And the laya may be increased again, and the presentation is brought to a close after some climactic fast tans. And typically there is also the rendition of the mukhada 3 times, and this is called a tihai. And the tihai, when it is rendered like this, typically indicates that the presentation or that particular composition has been wound up. The tihai is an important rhythmic device that is used in other ways and in other places too. The expectation is that the last, so what is a tihai? Tihai is any pattern that is repeated thrice. It could be a rhythmic pattern, it could be the text of a song, it could be the mukhra, it could be anything. It has to be rendered thrice. And the expectation is that the last repetition must achieve some kind of resolution, usually by landing on the sum. So that is tihai, which is very often encountered in Khayal and very, very often encountered in instrumental performance. They revel in tihais. Now, in a typical concert of say 2 hours, today it is 2 hours or even less. A few decades ago it was like 3 hours with a break in between, or 4 hours. But these days, an hour and a half or 2 is a typical length for a full Khayal concert. So in such a concert, you may hear 2 or 3 ragas. The first raga is presented in 2 or 3 tiers using 2 or 3 compositions and can easily be run for 45 minutes or 1 hour, typically 40-45 minutes. The second and the third raga presentations are shorter, often using madhyalaya compositions or compositions set to chaptal or rupaktal, because there these avartanas are shorter and there is a variation of pace if you introduce, when we introduce these tals. The choice of ragas is also done with a view to offering some variety in terms of the notes and the nature of the raga. That is, you may have ragas drawn from different thats or of different prakritis. And all these are planned with a view to retaining interest. And often a Khayal concert ends with a lighter piece, either a thumri kind of composition or a bhajan. Many Khayal singers do not perform thumri, because that calls for a completely different sensibility, different training. So very often a Khayal a concert will end with a lighter piece in the form of a bhajan. Now, I want to talk here about the Raga Bhairavi. Now, traditionally, Raga Bhairavi, actually it is Ragini Bhairavi, but nobody says Ragini these days. So Bhairavi is rendered at the end of a concert. There is Bhairavi, actually is one of the most widely used ragas in many genres of Indian music, including film and religious music. Now, if in a concert, classical concert, the singer or the instrumentalist starts Rag Bhairavi, it signals the end of the concert. That is, the concert will end after that piece. So, there is no performance after Rag Bhairavi. So, Bhairavi, as I said, signals the end of the concert. And so, Rag Bhairavi is regarded as Sarvakalika. That is, it can be performed at any time. The raga time association is relaxed in the context of, in the case of Bhairavi. Bhairavi is a Mangala raga, and a raga on which to end a performance, and it can be performed at any time. There is a link to a performance of Rag Bhairavi in the description box that I would encourage you to listen to. Accompaniment or sangat is an important aspect of Khayal. Besides the all-important tanpura, there is a melodic accompaniment, which is the harmonium or the sarangi or the violin, and we have the tabla, of course. As we have already discussed, the tabla is the keeper of the tal. That is the theka, the basic strokes of the tala. This is what the tabla player plays for most part, and he never strays very far from the theka, because that is the reference for the tala cycle for all performers and the audience. But you will also notice that there is a constant, as I said, there is a constant variation in the theka. It is not a monotonous set of strokes that is played over and over, but one that remains, fundamentally the same and identifiable, but is constantly embellished and all constantly played around with. The tabla player will play with it, play with the theka, but always responding to the singer, to what the raga exposition is kind of it needs. So as there is a build up towards the mukhra, as the singer fills the avartan and makes her way or starts building up towards the mukhra, you will see that the tabla player also often improvises along with the singer in anticipation, and both of them will land on the sum. We will look in some detail at the harmonium too later. Here I want to talk about another instrument called Swaramandal, because many prominent Khayal vocalists use this while performing. Typically they themselves play it. Now this is a harp-like instrument, and it is a box mounted with about 32 strings, 32 strings which are tuned to the notes of the raga. Whichever raga is being performed, the notes of those ragas are what this instrument is tuned to in Aroha and Avaroha. So, with every change in raga, the Swaramandal has to be retuned. Now, while when the Swaramandal is used, it has an effect of a shimmering cascade of swaras of the raga, and it can be seen as offering a richer listening experience. Prominent Khayal singers like Bade Ghulam Ali Khan and Srimati Kishori Amonkar have used it. Now, let us listen to a very short exposition of Rag Miya Ki Todi. It is about 15 minutes long, but it is very short, because Miya Ki Todi is one of the very major ragas of Hindustani music, and it can be performed easily for 45 minutes to 1 hour. But for the purposes of this course, this is an abbreviated exposition. This is a two-tiered presentation. The Vilambit is in Jhumra of 14 beats. It's a traditional composition and is followed by a Tarana in Drut Ektal. Observe the tabla accompaniment and the harmonium accompaniment. The harmonium accompanist plays a supporting role and follows the singer closely. And you will see, as I said, you will notice that the accompanists, whether it is a tabla or the harmonium player, they would be constantly looking and following very closely what the singer is doing.
ಧೂಮ್